Good morning, everybody. I know it's been a long time since Grandma's done a book for you guys, but I remembered a special book that my second grade teacher read to me when I was little, Miss Petering. It was called Minn of the Mississippi, and it's kind of a different chapter book. There's lots of pictures, but lots of text. So there's 20 chapters, and Grandma's just going to read one chapter a day. It's a fiction book, but there's a lot of science and history in it. Minn is a snapping turtle, and this story takes place all along the mighty Mississippi River, and it starts in Minneapolis. So this is Minn of the Mississippi by Hollings Clancy Holling, which is kind of his first name and last name are the same. And he is both the author and the illustrator. And he won a Newbery Honor book for his work on Minn of the Mississippi. Chapter 1, Land of Ancient Waters. The old crow sitting on the dead pine's tip knew these great north woods. For years he had flapped and soared over northern Minnesota. Each spring he beat his black wings northward, finding the forest lakes and scattered farms unchanged. Yet this region that the old crow knew so well had been changed and rechanged in its ancient past, and each new change erased tracks of the past, like waves on sand. There's the title page. There's a little turtle. Mariel, this looks a lot like some of the drawings you're doing of the bugs. He studied turtles really hard to come up with pictures that look just like a real snapping turtle walking down into the river. So here's the part I'm reading now. You can see there's some nice line drawings. There's the old crow. And then we're going to meet the little turtle and the big fish. And I'm going to turn to this colored picture for you guys while I'm reading, because there's the old crow and the crow family. The old crow wouldn't have given a feather for such far-gone happenings. At this winter-ending time, the country was wet. Feeling a raindrop on his beak, he cawed and flapped from his naked pine to a shaggy spruce tree. The wetness was coming again. The drops pelted into the spruce and found the crow. Swinging his tail, he batted a drop into shimmering mist, but it was no use. The very air was full of water, and he hugged his tattered black robe tighter to his closed eyes and waited for what might come. It came by barrelfuls. It drenched the trees. It frothed on the ground, hissing through old pine needles. The whole north woods was a sopping sponge. Waterspouts dribbled from beak and tail of the soggy crow. This north was a land of ancient waters. After volcanic heat had cooked rock crystals into granite, water had come. Millions of rains had ground granite surfaces into soils of sand and clay. Oceans covered these soils. Seabeds of sand were slowly compressed into sandstone, while clays and mud made shale. Shells of small sea animals thick on the ocean floors turned into limestone. For millions of years, seas came and rolled away. Great heat returned to steer and fold the rocks. Rains fell and drained off until great coldness came. Then rains became snow, which did not melt. Ages of snowfalls packed into solid ice sheets. The growing weight of the ice pushed these glaciers outwards, inch by inch, and they plowed through layers of sea-laid stone. Crushed fine granite mountains, towering ice cliffs carried countless tons of rock. Then the glaciers melted. They left vast drifts of boulders, gravel, and dust across the Northland. Green plants spread slowly beside new lakes. Trees grew again on hills, and at long last, one spruce tree held a wet crow waiting for the latest deluge to end. The old crow had no words for talking, but he made plenty of sounds. The crow, caw, which might mean, can it be? And caw, caw, or rain has stopped. Walking a wet limb gingerly, he tried out his wet wings. They still worked, shrieking, caw, caw, caw. It was great glee. He flung his body into space, beat his way to the dead pine's tip, and sat like a black carving mounted against a sun-gold cloud. The Martian lake below had come alive. Blackbirds sang, mallard ducks swam, a leaping bass sent ripples in rings out against a point of sand. Caw! Laughed the crow, dropping towards a large dead pickerel, tossed up by the waves at the sandy point, its tail in water as he landed. A nearby lily pad raised upward, and beneath bulged a reptilian snout and two expressionless eyes. So there's the crow on the dead mackerel, and there is the little turtle up under the lily pad. The crow and the turtle stared at each other across the dead fish. The crow began eating. Far over the lake sounded a great cawing. Black shapes whirled from the sky to cluster in trees. The old crow knew that crowd. He leaped up and flew in widening circles, screaming in crow sounds. Hey, fellas, look it, food for all! But even as he shouted, the turtle's jaw shot forward, snapped on the pickerel's tail, and the fish was dragged down and eaten underwater. Later that season, the bird and the reptile both made nests. The turtle's nest was streamlined. The bird's was an untidy heap. The old crow and his mate teased twigs together, nudged and twined them onto a limb of pine far up from the ground. The 6 eggs might appear unsafe, about to roll from the nest grass lining and be dashed to pieces, but they didn't. Too many crow generations had built rackety-looking but deep, safe nests before, and the crows still flew. The crow's nest was an open platform, and the turtle's nest was a buried bowl. Crow eggs would hatch only with constant care, warmed by a feathered breast, wing protected by wings, rain-proofed by the whole spread-out body of a brooding crow. The turtle had merely scooped a pit in the sand beach, laid her eggs, scraped sand over them, and then had gone hunting for food. She would not return. She would never know her own children. The old crow, with a keen taste for turtle eggs, had tried to find them. But the reptile's buried secret remained hidden from a hungry bird. Now here's all the details that Mr. Holling did about the turtle and the eggs. So there's the buried bowl of turtle eggs. And now we're going to see how they develop. 3 dozen eggs, like rubbery ping pong balls, crowded the bowl of the turtle's nest. Inside the shell of each egg lay mystic silvery, called by mere humans the white. Within this floated a golden ball, the yolk. And in this, like a jellyfish hung in the sea, a soft seed waited to grow in its dark, round, still ocean. The sun's heat beat through the sand to the buried nest. Warmth spread down through all the eggs, layer by layer, to the very bottom egg, and crept through the shell to the soft seed hidden there in friendly darkness. The warm seed started to swell. A strange and mysterious life bulged this seed till it pulled apart like one fat raindrop, splitting into two, as if longing for company. These two cells also swelled and divided, piling up more, all bulging and splitting. Thus, these cells were growing and multiplying in their mysterious sea within a sea. These cells were not piling themselves for no purpose. They were adding new chains of cells within their secret ocean because the life in them held a memory. It remembered patterns laid out when the world was young. As through this, the life had been given a definite, detailed task. These cells shall build to a certain pattern within the sea. All cells were busily obeying this magic, mysterious order. Of course, we know that that mysterious order was designed by God, and that snapping turtle eggs will only turn into snapping turtle eggs. They strung themselves together like beads making a worm, yet there was no worm. They piled on more cells until the form was fish-like, yet it was not a fish. The form became frog-like, yet it was no frog. Then it was like a reptile, and it was a reptile, but a special kind. Cells spread themselves in the shield curving over a turtle, a snapping turtle, a female snapping turtle, and there the pattern ended. In all the universe of this round egg, there was no memory of a shape beyond this, only a well-hidden hint of that future might hold. From nothingness, a delicate, powerful life had led upon the inner egg. Fluid food had swelled this life till it crowded its round, dark ocean. Now, tight curled within its shell, it could grow no longer. Something must burst so that this life might continue growing in a wider world. You can see how the baby grows and grows, and then it's so tight, all it can do is pop out. And that's going to be where we stop today. That's chapter 1, Minn of the Mississippi.